Well, hello everybody. Brian here. I am just jumping in because wanted to be here to answer any questions about Plunderlust, which is currently live on Kickstarter. It is buried under a bunch of windows somewhere. We are $4 away from hitting $20,000, and at that $20,000 mark, it will unlock the last and final Raider deck, which is the Killer Clowns deck, which is awesome. I'm so excited about unlocking that because then after that everything moves into some cool free add-ons for almost every backer that is involved. Most of the rest of the stretch goals that I've put in so far just keeps adding more value to the folks that are willing to jump in early on Plunderlust, which I'm very excited to get into everybody's hands. If there's anybody in the chat, feel free to reach out if you have any questions, any thoughts on Plunderlust, and shortly after I have a sip of coffee or two, I will start doing some photo work using Affinity Photo to bash a bunch of photos together and start working on some of the cards that I still have to do art for. Because there are quite a few cards that need art done before they go to print, but luckily we've got some time, and I need to do some actual physical sculpting as well of certain things. But yeah, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to jump in and let me know. And I think everything should be going okay. If anybody's out there, John, or anyone else, if you can confirm that you can hear me and I'm not muted or sounding like I'm in some sort of strange, weird place, I'm going to go ahead and let's present a screen. It's going to be share screen. What do I want? I want just Affinity Photo. That's all I want. Share. All right. There we go. And now I can't see it because it's buried behind a bunch of different layers. Let me see what I can do. I want to go ahead and pull this over here. And actually, maybe let's see what happens when I move that here. Does it stay in the window? Are we still there? It's still there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I want to move this over here so that I can make sure to kind of be looking at you while, even though I'll be looking at the Affinity document while I'm streaming. And making it small enough so that I can still see the chat window is pretty good. So are there any, for anybody that's watching, are there any stretch goals that you would like to see in Plunderlust? Especially, you know, we're getting to that point where everything else is going to be extra fun stuff. So if there's anything that you are interested in, please let me know. As you can see here, I kind of have my layered file. I've built a template around the for each of the different types of cards so that I can come in, do most of the work in Affinity Photo outside of the main body copy text. And let's see. Okay, so I know this is where the mask is. So what I'm going to do, so we have the Claws of Doom Raiders, and there are 8 of those. And in the naming convention of the Claws of Doom, as in the naming convention in the role-playing game, that they are Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 4, all the way up to Doom 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop open some things that I downloaded today. I downloaded random stock photos that I thought I might be able to use as people in the Doom stuff and in the Claws of Doom, and I'm going to start working on those. Now, one thing that I decided on these, because they've got kind of like the claws, most of them are going to be man-sheens in this, is I'm going to open up this one stock image that I've used before as a texture kind of background, and I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to, oh, it did open all of the Dooms. Doom, 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 Doom. Let's go to Doom 1. I'm going to drop that in there. And I'm just going to scale this thing down a little bit, right? I'm going to rotate it. And I know that I want it to live within this area back here. So I'm going to drag that layer down. And what I'm going to do is I had a mask already made for a different layer. So I'm going to drag this onto here. And then I need to adjust that mask a little bit. Yeah, I really like that texture. So I thought it'd be fun to work in here. It very much reminds me of a lot of the stuff that I build up when I'm doing some kit bashing type stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and scale this a little bit. Oh, it didn't come out of the mask. Let me go here. I'll do this. Nope, still didn't do it. Okay, I'll just mask it a little bit more, and that'll be that. So I'm gonna go to my brush. Right now I have it on my favorite scribbly scrabbly brush, but instead I'm gonna go to basics. I'm gonna do a normal thick one. I'm going to make sure that wet edges are not on. I'm just gonna zoom in here. Gonna pop this up. Gonna go from the white color palette. I'm gonna make that and make sure that it's a rich black so that, whoa, that's not on the mask. There we go, now it's on the mask. Just had to make sure I selected the proper layer. More value. I do not know what you mean. And then I'm going to take this here and just pop this up a little bit and scale that down. So now that we've got the texture in there, but that texture is going to be way too detailed, especially once dropping other things on top of it. So the first thing I think I want to do to that is I want to go in and I'm going to posterize it a bit, and it kind of bumps up the contrast. And then I'm probably going to go in, when is the launch date? It launched yesterday, and it is doing awesome. It's we are $4 away from 20,000. You can go to Kickstarter and look up Plunderlust, or here, actually, I guess I can probably drop that right here in the comments. Delete. Oh, awesome. Glad to hear I'm not muted. There you go. There's the Kickstarter project. And jumping back over. Now that I've done that, I'm going to do a little hue saturation and just kind of see where this is going to take me, see what I want to do. I don't think you can see the HSL thing in the window. Let's see. You can't see the percentage thing. Let's see if I can fix that. I guess what I could do is I could do it over here. We'll do it like this, and we will do this a slightly different way. I just won't be looking at you all. I just need to switch how this is being shown. So give me just a second, and I will set this up. Window. Drop this over here. And then I'm going to switch how it's viewing, and then stop screen, present again, share screen, and I'm going to go to window, and I'm going to do entire screen. I will do this one. Now you should be able to see all of my values and that sort of stuff. Yes. Delays will cause the lag. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and drop a new layer on top of that. I'm going to fill this with a magenta for now. I may change that. It's going to be 0, 100, 0, 0. Always filling the magenta with 100% magenta, except, oh, somehow I left 40% green. And I left 100% yellow. This is what happens when you do this on stream. Okay, so now I'm going to go to look at doing some color. See, color dodge makes it a little too bubblegum pink. It doesn't give it that nice, rich magenta. But I think overlay might work for now. Actually, here, let's do it the vivid light. I'm then going to drop this. I'm going to give it the same mask the other one had, so that it will fit in there. And then I'll probably end up changing that color only because the border is that magenta color. And then I need to select black again to dump in this this field. There we go. So at least it's starting to get a background. And once I have this background established, I'll just adjust the color and the flavor a little bit as I go through the Doom 1s and the Doom 2s and the Doom 3s and all those Doomy Doom Dooms. And again, if you have any questions about Plunderlust as we're going, let me know. As you can see, Doom 1 is pretty tough. They cost 80 credits. They've got 6 volts on their battery. They've got 13 hit points and a D8 weapon, so that's pretty bad. Yes. I'm going to go ahead and close that one out. Oh, I've already done Doom 2, and I used the sculpture that I did for the Mansheen in the Vasgrim book. I took a new photo of it. I recolored it a little bit and redrew on top of it a little bit. So Doom 2 is ready to go already. But let's see. Let's open up some stuff in the stock that I downloaded. So when I went through, I bought stuff from Adobe stock, and I bought stuff from Envato. And with the Adobe stock, I needed to make sure that in the selection process, you can turn off the AI generated stuff. So all of this is either person made or 3D modeled. So I'm going to, I was liking how, let's see, not that one. I was kind of liking how this lady was looking, and I wanted to see how this worked, especially if I took out the hand that's holding the beer bottle and turned that into like turned that into the mechanical clawed cyborg-like hand. And also I can mess with all the stuff that's written on her and stuff like that and stylize it out. Hey, hey guys. Hey, Charles. Hey, B. It's good to have you all here. And I'm going to open this up. And then I'm going to, so knowing that I'm going to take it into the other program, I'm going to go ahead and silhouette her out. Even though I'm going to probably draw all over top of her and like do all sorts of stuff, I'm going to go ahead and do the silhouette process. I'm going to unlock the layer. I'm going to dump in a quick mask. I'm going to take this bucket tool. I'm going to dump in white so it flips it. I'm going to hit X to switch the white to bring the black in the foreground. I'm going to make sure the black has 100% black in it, because if not, sometimes the opacity of the mask is not where I want it to be. And then I'm going to jump into brushes. I'm going to make sure we're on a solid, pretty standard generic brush, and that I'm actually in brushes. So it's a round brush. While we're in here, again, as new folks have joined in, if you have questions at all about Plunderlust or the campaign or anything else or what I'm doing in Affinity, feel free to let me know. Now, I'm going to zoom in pretty close on this. It's just kind of habit for how I don't know why that's doing weird, but how I grew up silhouetting people. I tend to go in way closer than I need to, especially when it's going to be scaled down for the size of the card. But I just go ahead and get in there and go around. And I much prefer to work in the positive space versus the negative space. Hey, Vinny, what's happening? And part of this, like I cut my teeth silhouetting people in like early 2000, like really like the year 2000. I started working at a agency, a design studio, and one of their main clients was World Championship Wrestling. And at the time, all the wrestlers, they'd take photos of the wrestlers, and you would have to silhouette all the wrestlers out so that they could be put on their like little photo, their fancy photo sheets that could be made and sold at as they toured around doing wrestling shows, and also silhouetting them so they could be put on VHS cassettes, like when there'd be like SummerSlam and stuff like that, and putting them in the catalog. So I learned how to silhouette people when all like the big wrestler hair was all teased up and there were wispy hairs all over the place. It was a good time to really learn how to do silhouettes in Photoshop. Yes, in the year 2000. Dun dun dun. So I'm just gonna go around here. Oh, come on. I keep looking over at the Kickstarter page and like, we're gonna get that $4. Where's my $2? Um, we're gonna get that $4 and hit that 20K mark. Gonna just quickly go in here on this hand. I'm not paying as much attention here, only because I know I'm going to replace this with some sort of drawing of a mechanized clawed hand. Did y'all see the? I got super distracted. I was planning having a little more stuff prepped for this stream, and then I saw that article that Rob wrote for Forbes, and totally got distracted and sent it to my sister. Yes, you can totally watch this later after it's live. It will be on YouTube. It will. I think that's the only place it will be saved. So it should like just be saved on my YouTube channel, which I need to figure out cleaning up and making a more like official YouTube channel for all things. Right, Charles? It could if somebody's missing a D2 coin and really wants one, it could bump us over that 20,000 mark, and boom, those killer clowns will be unlocked. The universe will be saved. Legions will live to fight another day. But now this is just quickly going around. Holding down shift as you go allows you to connect dots, so you don't have to do like straight lines and try and keep it all nice and clean. Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll have more pledges in no time too. I'm not worried about that. I'm looking forward to seeing how ads do to bring in even more new people in the near future. I'm just going to keep working my way around this helmet. I thought it'd be cool to figure out how to work this helmet in and maybe make it look like some sort of strange helmet gear, maybe something a little roughed up. I was a little lost with the quick mask and flipping it, all that stuff you did fast at the beginning. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, no, you probably shouldn't know the app. I mean, you don't need to know the app for it, but I can explain it. So when you first go into quick mask, at the very top where my mouse is, there's a quick mask button, and it throws red over everything. So it's like everything is masked. But I don't want it masked right away, because that means I have to go around and like erase what's there. So instead I go and grab white, and I grab the paint bucket and I just dump white in there to take it all away. Then to put the red back in, because I'm still in that quick mask mode, you can still see where the quick mask is like indented in the software or in the UI. Then I just get a paintbrush and I make sure it's a filled with black, and then it will allow me to start moving around and start painting in the what I do want to mask out. And for me, I just really prefer to have it be in this positive space. I know a handful of people that would much rather do the negative space side of it. Woo, we hit that 20,000 mark. But I definitely prefer it this way. Now, since we're here and we hit that, should I keep working on this? Do you guys want me to go in and quickly jump into the page and update it so that it shows that the killer clowns are unlocked? Oh, thank you, Vinny. Oh, thanks, John. I'm so happy that the cards are compatible as well. I mean, that was one of the coolest things when Duncan was designing the 7/7 card game and thinking about how that works. And then also knowing that he thought about how the bolts would then convert to batteries for the RPG side. It's pretty great, and I'm curious to see who uses them in that capacity. Let's like, while we're at GameholeCon, do I just break out a deck of Plunderlust and build an adventure using it that way? Update the page, okay. All right, so I'm gonna do this quickly. So this is going to look like nothing's happening over here for just a minute. So let me go in and update it. So I'm going to go into the dashboard, Come on, dashboard. Okay, there we go. 400%. No, that's not where I want to go into edit project. That's where I want to be. What faction decks are we missing? This is it. This unlocks the last deck, which is all 7 that will, which is all 7 that are going to be in the that are in the core, the Space Raiders book. Me talking while trying to update the page is like, huh? Okay, so I don't even need to have the image of what's the thumbnails because they're all there now. I do need to replace the playmat image, which I believe I saved all of these already. So this should go pretty quickly, I do believe. Let's see, Kickstarter JPEGs, date modified, unlocked playmats, all 7, correct? Just need to make sure it still has the headline. So you can put headers into the text of images so they show up in that navigation on the side, and I need to go and make sure that I do that. John, you're planning on using your Plunderlust deck at GameholeCon? Excellent. I know that Tyler from Limithron wants to play some Plunderlust at Gamehole because he's only gotten to play solo so far. So he's looking forward to that. And I told him I'm going to try to maybe print out some of the other decks, even though the art's not finished, if I can find time to gang them up on 8.5 by 11s and print them out to do some playtest decks of some of the other decks that are available. Okay, the add-ons are right. So, I need to update the stretch goals. That's it. Change. Stretch goals. That's not it. Okay, that's why I did not save the stretch goals image. So, got to do that real quick. So you'll get to see that because that is in that's in here. So Plunderlust, Kickstarter, stretch goals. You'll see how I have this built up. You'll see some secret behind the scenes stuff. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Oh, that's not the right one. Oops. Open. Stretch. Name. I built 2 different case scenarios for stretch goals when doing this because I really wanted to make sure that that the deck's unlocked and I wasn't sure how fast things would go. Okay, so here we go. Boom. Export stretch goals. And 20K. Any chance of me helping to publish an official release of 7.7 after Plunderlust? We haven't talked about that yet. Part of it will kind of depend on how this goes, and then I'll talk with Duncan about it and see what we think. So, I mean, if the market's right, if there's an interest in it, and if he's interested in it, I could see that definitely being an easy way to kind of add to the library and continue to grow like our existing customers. Like if people are already into Plunderlust and they're into that, it seems like a natural, right? So, and Duncan was super awesome coming out to Gen Con. So, I could definitely see that being a possibility. Hit save. Okay, view project real quick. So I make sure that it's right. So I'm going to go down to scrolling down. I got rid of the little thumbnail decks. I've got playmats and the next stretch goals, the foil card, then another foil card. One of those is King Saul's finger, which is pretty funny. Okay, so have you all played 7.7? Gonna just hit save on that and close that out. And then we're gonna come back over here. Ooh, thank you, Vinny. That feels good to have that 20K done and on to the next thing. Gonna keep this moving in here. Oh, something else, because I know a lot of you in the chat right now are people that backed the No Safe Haven campaign. Um, guess what came today? The patches came today. Ah, so glad. They were stuck in Alaska for over a week in customs, just because, honestly, it's been a while since I placed a patch order that was that large. And so, because we did that, and then I also added in the patches for, I added in the patches for ninth level games since we did the cross collab thing. Um, and so they were just stuck because there was some extra paperwork that needed to happen, because they were like, yeah, are you sure these are really embroidered patches at the cost value that's on the receipt, like on the invoice? And so just had to get that all squared away. For the Be a Card reward, are you looking for people to dress up and pose in certain ways? If I'd have added it, I had some ideas to make it fun. I think that will be completely up to the individual. The more the backer wants to get into it and help add to the funness of their character, I'm totally there for it. And we've sold. It's awesome today. A third one got knocked down, so there's 5 of those left, which is pretty awesome. And I haven't Duncan and I haven't discussed exactly how we're going to work those into the game yet, like as far as if they're going to be I know like all the backers are each going to get one as backing the campaign, but I don't know if they're going to come in one of the next expansions, because I don't want any of the cards to only be accessible by a certain point, and you have to like try and buy it on somebody that joins the game a year from now has to go and buy it on eBay and has to spend a fortune for it. I don't think that's cool. 8 or 10 total. 10 total. I thought about, depending on if for some reason people aren't as interested in it, if there's only a certain number of them, they could always work into one of the decks or multiple decks, like split them up amongst some of the decks, and put people in as maybe some of the mercs that are in there. But I kind of like them being their own thing and being a little, making sure they're a little more special, and so they're in a different expansion pack later. Because I'm hoping that we can keep building this out. Duncan has a lot of ideas for where this can go as far as adding more playability to it, and I've got some ideas. Going to go all the way across here. So when working on these silhouettes, especially this is probably the longest, boringest part of the adventure. After this, it'll start to get more fun. You'll start to see how the person will start to come together a lot more. Yeah, and honestly, so the article that Rob Weiland wrote today for Forbes, I didn't know it was going to be in Forbes. I thought he had talked about a possible other outlet for the article to be published on, and he's the one that said he's the one that suggested creating a card where people would be the worm infected, and so I took that and spun it into the Be a Raider add-on, because that was totally his idea to suggest that, and I completely agreed with him. After he had played a round or two of it and sent back some questions about the game. I'm just going to keep going up this bandaged arm. Your birthday is coming up. Oh, I see. That would be an amazing gift. When's your birthday, John? Is it going to be while we're at Game Hall? Can't believe that's already like I've got to get in the car next Tuesday to start driving to Gamehole. Everything is just going by so quickly. It's Wednesday now. I started doing the immortalizing you and a Plunderlust. Yes, that would be pretty amazing. 11/2, excellent. November 2nd. And it was the day after the campaign ends, so it'd be like that day you send in the photo. Yeah, I think I need to start going ahead and packing up the stuff for Gamehole Con very soon. Celebrating at KublaCon, fantastic. Well, a bunch of your friends go out to KublaCon too, so that is seems like a great place to celebrate. Oh, I don't think Brian Borgman would mind. I just picked up I just got his Stratos Rebirth cassette in yesterday, or yeah, I got it in the day before yesterday, but I cracked it open right before I started. I launched the campaign while I was doing some of the prep work, and so let's listen to Brian's Stratos Rebirth. It's got the Cyborg logo on it. It's got a character on the inside. I'll keep it low enough that it shouldn't interfere too much. But yeah, so my boombox is down on the ground next to me because I need to fix one of my outlets. You have a military surplus store nearby? Thought about taking a photo with some of their gear. Yeah, I love that. You considered Gamehole, but decided need to pass on. Awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing you at PAX U. Gamehole is good, but it's a hike. But it's so far that's like really I think that's probably the most relaxed show that I do. It's the one where I actually get to, after the con's over, actually get to sit around and play some games and just kind of hang out, and it's not so fast paced that you can actually chat with all the people that come through for a while. GraniteCon had a similar feel, except it wasn't all just RPG folks. I'm hoping next year I can get back up to a 10 by 20 for PAX U, because all this stuff is quickly outgrowing a 10 by 10 space. Oh, so now I'm just going in, I'm filling in all of the negative space here with red. There's faster ways to do this, but there's something cathartic about scribbling, and I just enjoy that process now, as long as I make sure I don't get any holes or miss anything. And keep scribbling. Anybody have anything exciting happening this weekend? I know we're only halfway through the week, but it feels like it's coming up fast on me. I'm going to be running demos of Plunderlust at Level Up Games in Duluth, which is just like north of Atlanta. My friend Tiger Wizard is going to be coming out, and he's going to help run some demos as well. I think Ross, co-creator of Vesgrim, may actually make it up there too, just to hang out and maybe grab a couple of the beers, the Worm's Blood and the Spinal Tap beers from me. Next year, I really need to bring more of that beer back. And we're getting close to finishing the silhouette phase of this project. Running your monthly 5e game on Friday. Excellent. For those of you that are interested in the playmats that are part of the campaign, Do you have an interest in them having the kind of ghosted outline and area to show gameplay areas, or do you just want the art playing that? I should probably figure out doing a poll for that for the entire Kickstarter folks. And almost done with this one. Little scribble scrabble. It's going to be fun to figure out the claw, and other mechanized elements to put into this person. 5e Friday, going to your mother Saturday. Bring Plunderlust to play. Excellent. To play with your brother. Fantastic. Both of you guys get in the game on Friday. It sounds fun. Just the art? Okay. Excellent. So that was my initial thought as well, that it would be more universal if it's just the art. It's on the paper playmats that are in the 2-player starter set. But I thought, and then my plan was to do a Kickstarter exclusive playmat that has it, but not all of them. You can go either way, Charles. Okay. And having one or maybe two that has it, but if I do it an option for each of them, it really adds a lot of complexity to fulfillment. Just the art, at least if you only need the zone lines when learning. Yeah, you really do only need it when learning. Okay, so now I've got red over everything that I want, right? The whole body area. So then I'm going to go back up to the quick mask section. You'll see that it gives the lines, the ant lines around everything. I'm going to go select inverse or invert pixel selection. I'm going to jump back over to my layers, and I'm going to hit the mask button down in the bottom left. And then boom, we've got that person is masked out. Now I'm going to go ahead and drag them over into the card layout, because that way I can kind of see where the placement's going to be. I can not spend too much time, working on areas that just isn't going to be covered. So for this, you can't really drag and drop like in Photoshop. So you have to select the layer. You want to make sure you reselect the entire layer, because if you're still on the mask part and you hit copy and drop it in, it's just going to drop the mask in. So I'm going to hit copy. I'm going to go back to Doom 1. I'm going to drop it inside. I'm going to drop it inside this layer. It's the magenta layer, and it's the one that's overlaying on top of the styled background. And it should work by going right in there, but it's going to be too big because this is a much bigger image. And you'll see that now I'm going to scale that inside of that mask. I'm going to have to probably scale it significantly because I do want the clawed arm in there, because I'm going to want to show that claw, or I'm going to have to do it here and transform, flip horizontal. I'm going to bring them in like this. I'll do a claw here and maybe get rid of that baseball bat, because I know on the edge I've included bleed on all sides of this so that it's press ready once it's saved and once it's ready to go. So I'm going to do this for now, and then I'm going to go ahead and let's stylize. Let's go ahead and posterize her a bit so we can kind of see where things are going. I'm going to then, while still clicked on her, I'm going to adjust the HSL, which is the hue saturation, and change her hue up. Whoa, that's not on her. Let's drop that into that so it's just on her. I don't really like people that look fleshy colored. I want them to look unrealistic colors. I want to bump up the saturation to really bring it up. And then I think I'm going to add a contrast. Shadows, highlights. Let's do a herbs and see what happens. Ooh, we're up to 2086. Let's keep it going. Let's do this and drop that. I'm going to drop this inside of her layers as well, because I just want to affect her. Okay, so now we've got a little bit going on here. Oh, God. kind of liking how this is going. So I'm going to fold up this layer. I'm going to put a new layer in here because that's going to be a pixel layer that's underneath of her. Because now I want to make her stand out from the background. I'm going to go in and jump into my brushes. With these brushes, this is a paid add-on brush. It's called Ink by Eldar Zakharov. It's one of the ones I bought in Affinity. I love this. Is the brush I use for almost all this stuff. It's the rice paper liner. And then I'm going to jump in and I'm going to, instead of the magenta, I've been digging the toxic green lately. So I'm going to jump in with this. I'm going to go with the 40. I tend to go back and forth between 30 or 40% cyan and 100% yellow when I'm doing this. And then I'm just going to jump back over to my brush. And I'm going to start out by just doing this stuff that's going to kind of go behind her. I'm going to have to probably go in and clean it up a little bit and mask things a bit, but that's okay. And while I'm doing that, I believe I'm definitely going to get rid of the baseball bat since I'm going to turn that hand into some sort of claw. So I'll go ahead and do this and just leave that there for now. I'm going to make sure that the green goes all the way around everything else. And then I'll go in and clean up that mask in just a minute. And then I know I'm going to want to adjust the color of the magenta that's behind her, only because I want it to contrast with the magenta lines that are supposed to be the framing of the scum. Okay, so I've got this. I think that's pretty okay. I'm going to go back into layers. I'm going to jump onto the one that's on her. I'm going to look for the mask. Kind of missed the BackerKit train excitement. Yeah, there are so many tools that I love with BackerKit, but I think we're going to see a distinct difference between the two during that middle period where like it just kind of died in the middle of BackerKit. And I think that I'm hopeful that in the middle of this campaign it will just keep plugging along. Oops, you can see here where it's kind of a grayish area. It's because I have the green selected in my color. I just hit X to swap it to black, and now I've got the full-on brush to mask this out. And here we go with this. And I'm going to come in here and zoom. But I hope their organic reach and traffic continues to grow over time because I really like BackerKit as a platform. And, it's crazy because meeting the people that work at both BackerKit and Kickstarter, people at both platforms are super awesome, and they all just want all of us to succeed. So they're all good options, and just for different reasons. Let's see. Just checking this right quick. Okay. Oh, it's nice. I got a notification that I was live on YouTube. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the background color now, only because if I don't, I may make different color choices than I would had it been adjusted first. So that being said, do I want to mess with the vivid light and see if it does anything different first? It's probably the right way to go, right? Just kind of check that and see. Contrast negative actually works okay. I mean, it's still got that magenta, but it's not nearly as much. Let's go with that for now. Okay, and then I'm going to go in. We're going to jump back to the main character. I'm going to put a pixel layer on top. I'm going to go back to my crazy brush, the Eldar Zakharov paper liner, rice paper liner. I'm going to jump into white for now. I'm going to reduce the brush size down. Keyboard command for that is probably the way to go. I'm going to jump over here. First things first, I'm going to be like, I don't like seeing their eyes. It's like they're trying to look into my soul. There we go. So eyes are hatched out. Even though it's a pretty purple lipstick, hatch that out too. And then, let's see. I think I'm going to take that same, let's see. No, not that. I'm going to open up. Oops, that's the wrong button. I do not want to print. Open. I'm going to go back into the stock and see if there was anything that I pulled that I want to try and do. I want to try and work some of these textures into the person. Yes, I do. So sometimes I'll take bits and pieces and I'll reuse them in, can I post the brush set and brush selection in Discord sometime? Yes. Can you remind me of that outside of this stream? And I'll do a search for it and find I'll find it on Affinity and post that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab a little slice of this. I'm going to just hit copy. You'll try. Excellent. Because otherwise I will just forget, and you know, that's how things go sometimes. I'm going to paste that down. And so what I did is I drew the rectangle around it. I just hit copy. So it took just that information. I'm scaling it down and I'm going to switch it around. And I'm just going to do things like this. That's going to be interesting for like doing some photo bashing, where I'm going to start putting things in together where they're not meant to be. So with this, I'm going to try and start seeing how things look when I just start going through the layer options and dragging and dropping and pulling things around and seeing if anything is going to work for what I want. Sometimes I like it subtle. Sometimes I want it intense. Now let's see what happens when I take the mask that she has. All I did was I hit Command, maybe a different thing on a PC, and I selected the same selection that she has, and I'm going to do it on what I imported, and you'll see that it now kind of comes around here. Now that's not what I'm going to do regularly. I'm going to then come back to my brush. I'm going to make sure that I'm using black and making sure it's a rich black. And then I'm going to bump up the brush. Oops, what did I do? Pushed a button that I shouldn't have. I wanted to shrink the brush down just a little bit. I'm going to come in and basically I'm going to make sure it's just kind of in this bottom part of the arm, because I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to do it in this part of the arm. So the kind of direction of where the shapes that were in that face, since that was a robot face, I'm going to go and do that there, and then I'll do it again on this way, and it'll look like they're going in the right directions. And so there I'm starting to build out some of the cyborgness of, or the man-sheen-ness of this person. And I'll take away things here and there, and I'll go back in and keep cleaning some of that stuff in a little bit. Now, I liked that arm. I liked how it was. So I'm going to take that same layer, and I'm just going to duplicate it. Well, I'll duplicate it. Duplicate. And then I'm going to take this up. That also allowed me to see where there's some things that I didn't mask it very well. So I'll kind of fix that in a second. I'll go back to the previous one, and I'll take this brush. I'll go in and I'll take that out. Now with the other one, I'm going to delete that mask, right? Then I'm going to take this, I'm going to bring it over. Oh, the eyes, it's staring at me. I'm going to try and rotate it and do it in a direction that is going in the same direction as the forearm that she has, right? To at least get it relatively close. I'm going to bring this down because I want it to kind of, I don't want to have the exact same pieces of that. I use a tablet or a mouse for this. Oh, I'm using a Wacom tablet. I'm using like the super cheap, like $100 one that's just kind of plugged in, plugged in USB to my computer. One day I may eventually get a fancier one, but for now that's all I use. And I've been using it that way for years and years. Do the same thing where I take the same selection that her silhouette was and use that as a foundation. And now I'm going to come in with black and keep adding to that silhouette. And I'm going to come in here and make sure that I'm not overlapping there. And just like that, you've got a pretty okay, especially, thinking of it card size. That's a pretty decent foundation for a cyborg arm, especially with how my art is kind of collagey and a little messy. Because now I can go back and find the layer that's the white. I can grab that layer. I can go back to that, and I can draw on top of this even more. Whoops. And I can add to it, and I can do things with the armor and just start doodling on top. And then I can drop some black in here to do even more. But then I realize that's behind one of the, whoa, where'd I go? Let's see what happens when I see now it's on top of everything and things aren't looking quite as right. Let's go back to there. Let's get more of this worked out. I'm going to do a new layer on top, and I'm going to do the green that we're using, 40, 0, 100, oops, 40, 0, 100, 0. And then I'm going to drop that in here. I'm going to do some stuff here. I'm just going to, actually, I don't want that color there. Let's go with the 80% cyan. 80, 0, 0. And then I'm going to let's do some fake 6-packs, covering up the boom and the some of this other stuff that's over here. And then I'll come back in with some other colors in a little bit. Let's go now to do the green, 40, tab 0, tab 100, tab 0. And I'm going to come back in and I'm going to kind of outline some of the shapes here, right? I'm just going to emphasize some of the forms that are already in this stock photo, and it just kind of adds another layer to it. I'm going to drop the size down here, kind of make this a little more interesting, put some doodads and gadgets, almost like a 3PO chest plate, just the hint of it. And I'm going to come in here with the green since we've got it, and since it's on top, and I'm going to put this here to give a little separation of the forearm to the bicep. Soon it will be time for the claw. Let's get some of this in here. It's starting to, the way the tank in there is kind of making me think a little bit of some BSG. Give that a little bit of definition in the neck hole. And then I think now for some real simple stuff, I'm just going to, come on, select color picker. I'm going to come in here real quick, and actually instead of doing that, I'm going to take the rubber stamp and I'm just going to, the clone tool, that's not going to work because I need it to be on this person. So I'm going to go on this layer, and I'm basically going to clone some of this. I'm clicking Option to select, and then I'm laying it down so that I can just kind of get rid of some of this text that you can see through the helmet, just so it's not like you're reading the text that's from the stock photo. So you want to differentiate it enough so that, you know, somebody else goes and gets this photo, the two things that you've both worked on don't look exactly the same. So that would not be cool. Oh, whoa, that was a super zoom. Okay, so I think that, aside from the boom, if I can get rid of the boom, then I think we'll be okay down there. I think we need to flip Brian's tape again. You hear music in the background. that is Stratos Rebirth. Look up Stratos on I think Bandcamp, and you can go ahead and order that. And also, it's got, you're into, you'll see that it's got Cyborg on it, and it's got some cool stuff on the inside, cool stuff on the outside. And here we go. I'm going to clone this area a little bit. Just drop this down. And I'll just get rid of the word boom pretty quick. Lose any confusion there. Now it's time to start thinking about the claw. The claw. Oh, how are we going to do the claw? Let's see. I'm going to do this on new layers. Cassette with game stuff in the book, like your containers? Yes, a little bit. Not quite the full adventure spread, but it is compatible with Cyborg. So, which means you could use it in Grim Expanse, Vast Grim, all the same. So I think for this one, I'm going to do. Let's start out with this and see where it goes. I took some white, I put a new layer on. I've got that brush. I'm going to take the thumb that's already there, and I'm just going to make this into like a crazy claw. And should they be missing their middle finger? I don't know. I mean, people seem to really like that in the games that I just ran. As their character having missing the middle finger. Let's see. Whoops. All right. So let's see. I think I collect RPG cassettes now, so I'll check that out. Excellent. I need to get more of them. I need to get some of the Knoll stuff, and I just haven't. I'm going to start putting some of this in, and so I'm just doing some really rough claw stuff in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the one that had this head, and I'm going to put some of this stuff in from a different angle and see how that goes. I'm going to take some of this, some of that. I think I'll take this chunk right here. I'll hit copy. Awesome. Yeah, I've been meaning to get one of the Knoll ones here. Let me see real quick, since we're on the subject Bandcamp, and just see if I can find Stratos real quick. Make sure it's the right place. Yes, here we go. Artist Stratos. And then here we go. There we go. In case anyone is interested. Let's see, where am I? Going to Doom 1. Here we go. All right. Pasting this. That is not what I wanted to paste. I wanted to paste this. Copy. Paste. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this now, because there's certain things. I'm going to go transform, flip horizontal. There's certain curves in the stuff in the head that I thought might be good with the way the claw hand is kind of curving this way. So I'm going to take this in here. Going to flip. Oh, I already did flip that horizontal, didn't I? Okay. Then I'm going to rotate it a bit. Then I'm going to scale it. I'm just going to, whoops. Sorry, lady. That's not what I want. That's not what I want. Sometimes I get a little too excited and start moving things around when I shouldn't be. Okay, so now we've got some stuff in the clawed hand, and I think it's probably going to work okay. So now that that's in place, I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before, where I take the selection of the lady that's there with the little marching ants. I'm going to mask that. You'll see part of it went away, but that's okay. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to I'm going to go back to like a normal brush. I'm going to go to just like a basic, do the round. I'm going to go to white because that is what should start letting stuff come through. I'm going to take normal. Oh, that's not right. Layers. Go to the mask. That's still not right. What am I doing wrong? Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. That would be it. That's not it. Here we go. Down here. There we go. Okay. I'm going to go to that mask. Guess I'll go right here. Come on, mask. What am I doing wrong? Ah, haha. I had the layer turned off. Sometimes I confuse myself. All right, so now we're coming in. I'm gonna bump that up a little bit. Now you can start to see, and I'll probably need to make some adjustments and do some things. That's okay. It's getting the idea of claws in here. That's probably not quite exactly what I want for like a little internal brass knuckles, but I don't know. Maybe it'll work. Bring this in, but here by doing that, we've got stuff that is starting to work together like it is like it's a claw. It's just coming in here. I'm going to jump back to my brushes, jump back to the Eldar and the rice paper liner. I'm going to come in and I'm going to give like the fat pad of the hand there to help kind of give that some separation. And then I'm also going to look at, let's see, this arm is glow. This is going to need to be a different, it's going to have to be at least a little bit different than what's on there now. I think that's getting a little bit better, but then I need to turn it off and turn it on and see where it is, because hang on, something went strangely awry. That's okay. We will do this. Ah, there we are. That's what I was looking for. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to mask this chunk of this this one off. And I'm going in fast with this. I'm going to pump up the brush size, bring it in like this because I don't really want that underneath what we already created. And so that is about how I might do a Doom 1. Some of them will be very different. You know, some I'll sculpt stuff on, some I'll hand draw stuff on. I think I'm going to I need to put some green on the layer behind the claw now that the claw's there. Oh, wrong one. Do this. Brush, go back to the previous brushes. There we are. Layers. 40, 0, 100, 0. Let's go ahead and jump this new layer in and see what happens. I think I need to maybe clean that up so there isn't the stuff coming out from the borders. And this may end up becoming Doom 2 or Doom 3. I don't know. I may switch around the Dooms once I get in there and start seeing everybody and reading all the stats. But let's do a couple more little things just to make it a little more personable. Zoom in a little bit. And then I didn't like that. Let's see about adding a new layer and doing some sort of smaller like tubes coming down around that way. Then we'll do some tubes coming down here. Makes me think of Commander Mark with making those noises during, I can't remember what that show was. And zoom out and see. Now I've got to go back into the green here. I've got to put a little more behind this now that I put those tubes in, since that is kind of like the general outline around everything. And then there is the Doom 1. Hit save. So this is a layered Doom 1. Now let's go ahead and show. So I've got all these kind of built out, right? And so I have these ready to go with the individual layers. So it shows, it just gave me a notification that this file's been modified. So if I go here, this is the Affinity Publisher program. And if I go to Resource Manager, and it'll show me that it's been modified, all I have to do is hit update and plazow. So what did I do? What did I do? Oh, it's been a minute since I worked on one of these, and I totally forgot that there should be this layer above pretty much everything. So let's see. Here we go. Well, I did a bunch of work I didn't need to because she was getting covered up there. Let's see what happens when we now go back to here. And it's going to say Resource Manager, update. Form of, there we go. And so now this card is in place. If you go to View, go to Preview mode, you'll see where the cropping is, and you'll see how I've done outside of that. So now you can see that we've got Doom 1, we've got Doom 2. And so as they're cropped in, as they've got the layers over top of them, you can really start to see how they come together and how well they're starting to work. I'm going to come in real quick before we're all done. I'm going to clean up this mask here along this edge, because otherwise I think will bother me later on. But then we can jump into another Doom card. Does anybody have any questions about what I'm doing? Any questions about the Plunderlust campaign that's right now going on right now? I'm going to drop another link to the Plunderlust campaign in the chat, just in case anybody decides that they want to jump in if they're watching and don't know about it and want to check it out, especially as we're going into fun new territories. Okay, so jump back over to Affinity Photo. I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to go into a brushy brush that's a normal, basic round brush. I'm going to jump up my black to my 100%. And I'm going to come over here and find the layers that I need to mask. Let's see, this one needs a mask. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply a mask. That's not a quick mask, just putting a mask on it. I'm going to come here. I know this layer is underneath that pink border. So I'm just going to come down along here and hope that I get everything. I'm going to do the same thing for this layer. I'm going to come here and then we're going to close these off so I don't have to look at all that mess. Then let's see, where is the white border? It's going to be up here maybe? Nope. Oh, here we are, up here. There we go. We're going to come in here. We're going to do a mask there. For third-party creations, would the base card layout be available, or would they create their own? So that is something I need to think about. Because by doing the base card layout and doing it that way, if I made that readily available, then it could easily make things look like they're official when they're third party, and somebody made a stupid overpowered card, right, and just printed it themselves, and they took it to a local game shop and were playing with somebody. It could give somebody a really terrible first experience or whatever with the game. So I may, if I'm going to do that, and this is just me kind of brainstorming and thinking out loud about it, I would probably do a slight variation where maybe some element of it's a different color, like maybe like here where all the scum are, maybe an official and unofficial border, exactly, something like that, to just let people know that this is third party, but I still want it to look like it fits in with everything else. Thoughts? Oh, and this layer is off. All right, is it you? Nope. Is it you? It's you. Okay, and you've already got a mask. So I'm just going to take this brush. Yes, and sometimes I talk to my affinity documents as I go because, sometimes it's quiet in this office. That's a cool idea. It sounds perfect. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. So probably sometime after the campaign's over, that's something that we'll do, and I'll probably see if Duncan would want to write up some sort of like kind of Bible or like writing style guide, because I've seen some recent. There's a Morktober one that's being done with a bunch of the 7.7 stuff, and I think if there were a couple little tweaks, it would make it sound more official with how some of the text is handled and things like that. Just certain ways that the text is presented. If it's uniform, it just makes it easier for gameplay and game reading and consistent across the board. But then I would also like figure out fonts that are open source and all that stuff, and make sure all of that is packaged up in the design documents that would be available for everybody. Okay, Doom 1. I'm happy with Doom 1. I wasn't sure when I was first going into it how it was going to come out, but I think that's going to be pretty cool. So, and we've got Doom 2 already with my man Sheen, and so let's jump over to this document because I've modified that. Window, Resource Manager, update, little tiny minor updates, close, and I think I'm going to hit save on this just because. And then you'll see that Doom 2 is in here. And then we're going to go in and this is Doom 3, Claws of Doom Crew, Electro Cannon. Okay. Spend 1 volt after hitting with an attack to also hit a second enemy monster. Okay, well, this is easy. I should do something with I need to probably work some sort of cannon or whatever into here. So let's see. Also, anybody that may be watching that hasn't backed the campaign, you only need 1 deck to play solo. So it's a easy buy-in on the Kickstarter campaign. If you want to play with more than 1 person, you need 1 deck per person. Let's see, Affinity Photo. Let's see, in my folder of things. Okay, so I got a toy robot hand in there because I thought that was funny. Okay, well, this lady's definitely got some sort of big boomstick. I wasn't sure how well, when taking this in, if I could adjust the levels and extract some of the data to still see definition enough to then fake my own definition when tracing on top of it. So let's see what this person's going to be like. And before we do anything else, let's go in and start messing with some white balance and some levels and see what happens. No, that's not going to work. That's not what I really want. So here. And I want some more tunes again. Okay, so this time I'm going to put in the container 1, the Vasgrim container 1 by my friend Glitter in the Dark. It was partway through the cassette, so may not be exactly where. Okay. Okay, so and honestly, I don't use. Okay, here we go. So if I do this, it's totally giving me the shape, but I may have to use that to kind of get some form, and then I may have to come back in and take this away, right? By doing this with layers. So I think the first thing I'm going to do, now that I have this kind of figured out, I'm going to go ahead and silhouette this person out. and then I'll be able to play with it even more. So back to the fun silhouette time. If you go back up, you look at the very tippy top in the center. That's where that quick mask is. Boom, dropped it red. I'm grabbing the bucket on the left, where you can see that it's white, making sure it's 000 across the board, or 6Fs for the hex. Dumping that in there gets rid of the entire red of the quick mask. I'm going to go back to my brush. I'm going to make sure I'm on that nice round, regular round brush. I'm going to make sure this black is up to 100%. And then let's zoom. And I'm going to come in here, and like, I know that this is rough from the posterization of the strong contrast. So I'm going to go ahead and just do best guess judgments and know that I'm going to come in here and mess it up anyway. Just going to kind of, now that, since this one's a little rougher, I'm just going to go faster and just kind of scriggle down on this hair, because that is totally a real word. And just going to zoom. This one I'll go with the holding the shift, and you can hit X on your keyboard and it'll toggle. Whoops, I hit C, which takes me into crop mode. You can toggle back and forth between brushes. That's why you tend to keep a solid black and a solid white, so you can toggle back and forth to clean it up. And of course, I put that in right at the very end of that side of the cassette. And be kind, rewind. You did your Vascrim October today with just Phone's Photo Editor and Microsoft Paint, so I need this tutorial. Excellent. Yeah, I mean, this is how I do a lot of the stuff. Kit bash, or like photo bash, different stock photos. Then I also take a lot of photos and sculpt a lot of stuff and add that to it as well. So some of it kind of depends on the time that I have and the resources that I have. And like, if I find stuff that I like with the photography stuff, or if there's something I specifically want to make, like, you may find that in the super hot months, there's less sculptural stuff just because I have to sculpt outside and it just gets hot here in the South. But I'm very much looking forward to doing some sculpting for a number of these here soon. And ooh, that's something. I'm going to be taking a bunch of sculptures up to GameholeCon, I think, to try and round out my table a little bit. I took some last year and sold some pieces. Oh, and the piece that was part of this was actually here. I'm gonna go straight to this mode for a second. This was done, and it's actually in a stretch goal for somebody else's campaign, which I think a lot of you probably ended up backing. But it's got some different color way on it in the layout for their thing. But yeah, that one was fun. I need to do more sculpting because I really do enjoy that a lot. And it makes it, oops, that's not what I want. I want this one. But I don't want to be big. I want it to be small. That'll be fine. What campaign is that for? So that was for my guest monster for Wasteland Degenerates. And I did a variation on that in my Patreon reward stuff as well. It's not the same. It's not the same creature in Wasteland Degenerates as it was in the Vascrim stuff that I made for that. And I did the art a little different and colored it differently as well. Because I knew I wanted to make something that came up out of the ground for Wasteland Degenerates. And I wanted to make something that was going to be different from anything else that any of the other stretch goals we're going to be making. Oh, and also Scott from Wasteland Degenerates is going to be coming out to the show as well, to GameholeCon. So I wanted to make sure to bring that so he could see it. I've got some alien heads I'm going to bring. Oh wow, the Pittsburgh Gaming Expo. I sold more hats at that show than I've sold at any other show. It was pretty rad. I think I signed the bill of 4 hats as well. Whoops. Had to make a comment on most of them about protecting against the Nurok worm. Yeah, I think that'll be good. John getting to meet Scott there. So John, you're going to be there. If I were to print, I probably won't print all of the new decks that haven't been made, printed yet. If there were 2 of them based on the descriptions that you would prefer to play, what would they be? And you don't have to answer now. You can message me later. But I think I'll ask Tyler the same thing. And maybe based on your answers, those are the ones that I will print out to bring and play. If anyone wants to play something other than the Revenant deck. Let's see. So I'm just continuing to go around this boomstick. Bring it up here. You know which ones you're excited for? Okay, you can go ahead and spill it. I mean, it also is kind of nice that they're already pre-existing factions in the universe. Okay, so I've gone around all those spots, so now I'm going to fill that in. Blow that up. Oh, and anybody else that's in the chat, do you have a favorite Space Raider deck, just from reading the descriptions, that you are most excited to play? Got a poor cat outside my door wanting to claw their way in. Get them crying. I think I'll probably take this stream till 5 o'clock my time, most likely, so another 36 minutes. I'd like to do this more on the regular, but I can't do it next week, what with going to Gamehole. And also tomorrow afternoon, I believe at 4 o'clock, I'm going to be on a Twitch stream. Oops, that was not. And then the following Monday, I'm going to be interviewed by Games with Dave. If anybody wants to jump in and ask questions and do that sort of thing. Okay, continuing to fill this in. I'm going to go ahead and make this brush big. Oops. Sometimes I do that and I get overly excited and color outside the lines. But soon, so you'll see I didn't go all the way down to the waist with this one, only because they were already, I know they're going to get cropped off and dropped into layout. Cyber Sharks and the Jolly Dodgers. Excellent. I do like the Cyber Sharks a lot. And Princess Payne's pretty good. Okay. I will see about printing those out. I guess I probably need to get that done Thursday-ish, so that I can send it to Staples to print it out, to have it by Sunday, so I can cut them out, so I can sleeve them for Monday. The time, it just is going by so fast. I've got to get some stuff for the molt over to my friends at Exalted Funeral so they can start promoting it. I've got to get some stuff over to Zatu in the UK now that I've got the patches in. I've got to put a package together for them with all the stuff they're going to need to print the books for fulfillment of No Safe Haven. So glad all this stuff is finally starting to come together, and everything should be fulfilled before too long. Because before you know it, it'll be time for more adventures. Yeah. All right, so we've got all the red filled in for the quick mask. We're gonna click on I'm gonna hit undo because redo. There we go. I was hovering over this, and sometimes in Affinity, when your mouse is just over it, it looks like you've already colored it in. You haven't. It's just letting you know where your mouse is. So I'm going to go up here to the quick mask, push that button again. It gives me the ant selection of everything else. I'm going to do select, invert pixel selection, and then I'm going to go back to my layer, and I'm going to go mask. And then here we go. It's masked. I'm going to turn off the levels adjustment and see what happens. All right. So that's there. I'm going to, let's just go ahead and drag, copy and paste this whole thing into Doom 3. Doom. There we go, Doom 3. I'm going to jump down to here. As you can see, there is the Princess Payne one from, oops, I'm going to paste inside from the Jolly Dodgers. I went ahead and brought art in since I had art assets already created. I'm going to keep scaling this down until this person seems about right. Well, they're not too far off from one another. Maybe because of that, I'll transform and flip horizontal. There we go. That's a little bit better. Got the gun blazing this way. Go ahead and turn that off. And I did want to try and keep a similar Cyber Shark background between them, I thought. A Claws of Doom background but behind them. So let's go back to Doom 1. I'm going to scroll down here. I'm going to grab this. I'm going to copy. Go back to Doom 3. I'm going to put that back here. And then I think I'm going to adjust the color on this. Let's go ahead and just grab that and hit dump. And then I want to do that in a not contrast negative. Let's start messing around with this a little bit. Hard mix is okay. Though I think Vivid Light is even better. Let's go with the Vivid Light on that. Again, if there's anybody in the chat, especially if you're joining at any point where if you have any questions about Plunderlust or anything like that, anything about what I'm doing with making cards of Doom 3, feel free to chime in and ask. Happy to be of assistance. See that we've broken 200 backers on the campaign, which is awesome. I'm going to keep that train moving. And let's see, going back to here, let's see what happens when we do a little posterization. I mean, contrast is already there, right? And let's see what happens when we just drop it in here. See what happens when we pump the levels back. Whoa, the levels got crazy. Okay, let's delete that levels adjustment then, because we don't want that. I'll keep that posterization for now. I'm going to go in and just start doing my doodle sketchy, where I'm going to do a new layer. I'll do the new layer behind. And I'm going to, is this the border? Okay. I'm going to do it behind that, but above the green. I'm going to put her behind that border. There we go. And then I'm going to do a new pixel layer. I'm going to grab my paintbrush. It's the solid one, so I'm going to swap that over to the ink by Elder Zarkov. And grab that. And let's see. I'm not going to use white because I need to build more white into this character. I'm going to go with a cyan, or I'm going to go with cyan, an 80% cyan. I always use 80%. I don't use 100% cyan because when there was 80% cyan and it was on top of there was black text either on top of it or even white, it just didn't work right. So I swapped to 80%. I was much happier. Note to anybody making their own VG stuff. Going to put this here. And it looks like she's got a metal pipe coming out of her head, but we will fix that and make that look like her blast cannon. Go ahead and, whoa, that was too thick. There we go. Just doing this so she'll stand out off the background a little bit. I always do this, and then let's go ahead and bring some of that in on top. New layer. Gonna drop the thickness of this brush down a little bit. It's gonna help start to give some separation. Gonna do this so it doesn't look like there's a steam pipe coming out over the head. And then let's go ahead and I'm going to do a yellow layer. I'm going to do the 3097. That felt appropriate. And then I'm going to do some mashy teeth because I don't know, feels like the time for that. Although I wonder if an underbite would be better. Let's see. Undo. Let's do. Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm going to add some more yellow in at some point. But probably the yellow is going to be, this is blue up here. Okay, I want the yellow to be behind that. So doing that here like this. Not too much, just a bit. Then I'll put some more in a little while. Nope, I don't like that. Undo, 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 I say. Okay. Let's come back in with the bleu. at the 80% blue, 80% cyan, I should say, 8000. And I'm going to come in and drop this in here. I'm going to put some lines like that. Do some other defining stuff. Got some armor here. I'm going to make it. So right now it kind of looks like sports ball armor. I want to make sure that that goes away. And I'm going to have to come back in with some other colors as well. Some white, probably. And we're going to have to make the make more out of the gun and the cannon. I don't like that at all. Okay, so it's starting to come along. Okay, let me zoom out. Right now, I think adding a lot of that blue probably isn't the right call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that layer. I'm going to go to color overlay. Right now, it automatically goes black. Swap that to white, and I think that's much better. It gives it a little more contrast to the blue that's in that kind of background, that cyan outlining, and I want to just kind of get rid of that. So, yeah. And then we'll come back into the boomstick thing in a minute. The cannon, what did that description say again? It said electro cannon. All right. Really feel like this thing needs to be beefed up a good bit. I think I'm going to really make that into something more. I'm trying to think. So I'm just going to get another layer in here just to kind of sketch some idea out and see, like, that's if we were to come in here and make this a giant cannon in here. Get rid of that, but maybe cut it off here. Okay, so I'm just kind of outlining some shapes of thoughts for how this is going to go, because I know that's not exactly what I want. So that being said, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to go back to this mask layer, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to drop it down to this. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of this because I want some of that gone. Actually, should probably be doing that with a brush that's like a normal, one of those normal brushes. So it can be a little more strict, a little more hard edge there. And actually, I'm just going to follow this shape, right? I'm going to go the direction of that part of the gun, and then that will help. It'll give me more definition as to what I'm going to put there. I'm also then going to go into the layers. I'm going to go to this. I'm just going to drop this in with an eraser, knowing I can clean that up later with that normal brush that I use and outline that in a bit. I'll probably even get rid of this too, knowing that I'm going to be coming in here with some sort of crazy cannon looking thing. I may just get some sort of like big sort of like pipe thing or something like that and Photoshop that in there. But I know that's kind of where things are going to go. Oh, I'd mentioned go until 5 my time, but my voice is starting to feel like it's going out. So before I close this out, I'll finish this up. It won't take, I'll finish this up later. But before I go, actually, let me hit save. Let's see, stop screen. There we go. Before we split out, does anybody have any last minute thoughts or questions? Anything about Plunderlust? We're at $20,527. We're at 202 backers, which is fantastic. Awesome. I'm glad it was good to see some card dev, and I will try and make some more time for that in the future. Sometimes I feel like I move a little bit slower when I'm also narrating, but I think it's cool to share that. So I'd like to maybe do some as well where like I have a camera aimed down and I'm sculpting on stuff, or I'm kit bashing like Gundam pieces, things like that, or maybe just even drawing for that matter. And then I will I will post a link in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord and you want to be, you can just go to Discord and do a search for the Grim Place Discord. And again, the Kickstarter is currently live. If you search Plunderlust, or if you jump into this link here in the chat, or maybe even in the show notes as well, you should be able to find it. So thanks everybody for tuning in and hanging out, and I hope that I get to hang out and see you all again soon. All right, goodbye.